What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arm. Oh, how great the path and this pilgrim's walk, leaning on the everlasting arm. Leaning, yes, I'm leaning, safe and secure from all harm. Leaning, yes, I'm leaning on the everlasting arm. To God be all the glory. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I pray that all is well in your soul today. You just got some people that just got to come with some demons. Well, let me go into my Father's prayer for we can get this conversation started. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lord, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine you are the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Now, this morning, we still in women's season, and March is a very, very busy month because of the wind and the weather changing and all the other stuff that goes on around this time of the year in March. It's also women's season. And we women, we go through all different seasons of our lives. So that's why we got the month of March. We got this month, we got women's season. We got Easter that is approaching. Well, Easter is going to be in April. But of course, a lot of people at this time, this is the Holy Week approaching. And, during Holy Week, which is next week, not this week, but next week is Holy Week. We are going to do a lot of we doing a lot of fasting and praying, and a lot of things are coming out of our spirit, things that was in us that are starting to cleanse and starting to come out. And it's sometimes not going to sound so good. And that's what I tell people, like when you fasting and praying, you try to stay away as much as you can from any conversation that will upset your spirit, because you want your spirit to be calm. You want your spirit to be at peace. You don't want to break anything down in your body, because your body is your temple. So last night I was talking to my husband, and I told him, he was starting this conversation. I said, please don't say that, because I'm right now fasting and praying, and I can't allow any negativity to get inside of me. I want to stay in my place of peace, especially at this age that I'm in now. I'm 60 years old. I'm struggling for my career, with my career right now. I've been dealing with a whole lot of stuff that people have done to me. And if you don't want those things to come out, please tread lightly. Please tread lightly, because those things are going to get, I'm going to actually rebuke them. Okay. And when it comes to the rebuke, you're going to get your feelings hurt and you ain't going to handle it, because I'm going to break you down. And so today I go on my Facebook page. Last week I was having a little, episode with my sister about a situation with her and her son. And I just refuse to allow people to keep dumping their problems on me. Even when you did your part of helping a child in the family or children in the family. I am not responsible for your children. And only thing I can do is when I am needed, I will take on extending myself to see where I can help you. But you also have to do your part as to help yourself as well. Now, on my post, I was talking in a video, and my niece gets on my post and tell me I shouldn't be saying blase about family. And I could say what I want. It's my page. This is why they not here on YouTube with me, because I will be going more crazy with my family than I would be doing with people I don't know. Because it's not even about them. Okay. This is about me and the work I do for Christ. And it's what I did for my family that I can also help to do for somebody else's child or somebody else out there in the world. It's not about always just me. Okay. It's not about me. It's the work that I put out there to do for Christ. For Christ. And they don't understand that because they wasn't raised in the faith the way I was raised in the faith growing up. And the things that was poured into me from the beginning of my Christian walk, the things that I watched ahead of my life, and those who have also played their role in helping me grow in my Christian life. Not just only my mother. I have relatives that have played their role, and I've always looked back to say, thank you. While they was living, I gave them their flowers. I came to check up on them. I made phone calls to them, even traveled to go see my grandmother in South Carolina. Nobody ever had to tell me to do that. I always made myself available or found some time in myself to do those things. Now, this generation, because of the way they parents neglected the Lord, they put more time into the world than they did into doing what they supposed to do for Jesus, of raising their own children, bringing them to Christ. And thank God, my sister, and I had to let her know with my nephew that I have played a spiritual mother to my nephews in my own way, what God has used me to do. And every child that was in my care, most of my family kids, not the one who was on the Facebook page with me talking all the craziness she was talking, I always brought them up to the Lord. And I send them back to be with their parents. So one of my nieces, I did have her son when he was young, but I was also struggling with some other things in my life. But I still took on that role to help my niece while she was trying to better herself, okay, and go into the military. And I took on that part to help her with that child when her son was very young. But I still was having issues myself because the place I was living in was not my own. And I was not able to remain there. So I gave my niece enough time to do what she needed to do to get herself enrolled. I'm the great aunt. I'm not the grandmother. I'm just the aunt. She didn't do that because her mother couldn't handle the responsibility, so she looked upon me. Even though I was having a difficult time myself, I still took on that role. And not only just that, I also paid for mostly the living expenses. And I don't appreciate when somebody don't know the whole details of a story of why people had to do what they had to do. And she gonna call me up. She gonna get on my post and try to call herself trying to, be disrespectful that I didn't do anything. And maybe I didn't do anything for you because you was raised by another sister and I wasn't taking care of you. Okay. And I wasn't gonna do that. I'm not gonna be responsible for other people's children. I will help, but that's it. And God only helped those who help themselves. I have traveled to go see about them when they were small with my niece. I stayed on top. I moved out there to Texas, to Killeen, Texas. Okay. I left Florida and I went to Texas. And I stayed out in Texas with my niece and her family for almost a whole year. I know I didn't live with her. I let her do her response living on her own. I lived somewhere else. I found a roommate and I stayed out there with some roommates. Okay. That's how, and I found me a little job. I was working, well, that at that time, my job was in finance. I was working as a personal banker. I worked for a bank called First National Bank of Texas. And I worked there during the time when those soldiers were killed right there on Fort Hood. So I lived through that experience. They got, they children packed them up. No, I sent for my niece's mother to come and take care to help her with the kids. I paid the car fare for her to get there. Once she got there to Texas and everything, I was working and everything, and me and my niece, she came around and was with me. We went out. We used to go out to eat and do things of that nature. My niece was called on active duty in the military, so she wanted me to take the kids, and I told them I'm not going to do that. I said the kids going to have to go with their grandmother. And so she was like, "No, auntie, no, 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 no. I'm not putting my life on hold to raise y'all kids." And then turn around and y'all come around and start being shady towards me and start acting up towards me, and I have to get myself all jacked up. No, that's not my responsibility. I said the next person to take care of the kids. If you got to go handle your business that you got to handle in the military, then that should be your mother's role. But I'll be here as an aunt to support my sister. That's it. See, people don't get it. I'm not going to be the one getting jacked up raising my sister's children when my sister should be raising her own children. So now that I have stopped doing it, I'm not going to do it anymore because now y'all have to learn how to do it for yourselves. Y'all not children anymore. Y'all adults. Y'all have to make the right conscious decision. If y'all want people to do something for y'all, y'all got to learn how to respect people and learn how to be appreciative because nobody owe you anything. So she gets on my post to tell about I ain't do this and I ain't do that. And I said, girl, bye. I had to break myself down and cuss like I done never cussed before on my social media page at a family member. By me keeping it quiet with the family. I said, this is why I got to do it the way I got to do it. Because when I try to keep it among us, y'all don't let it be that way. Y'all be disrespectful. So I have to call you out and I have to embarrass you. I'm not gonna sit here and allow y'all to think y'all could get away with stuff like that. Y'all out here doing wrong, and then y'all want to sit up here and be disrespectful. Y'all too old for this. You want? I see talking about. Well, they with Miss. I said, well, you know what? They shouldn't have been with Miss Baptiste. They should have been with their grandmother. That's who they should have been with. Okay. And I said, and I did everything I can for your sister to stay alive. When she wanted to wild out there in the streets and get on her get messed up on whatever kind of drug she was taking. I did everything I can. What you want me to do? Oh, because I didn't go to the funeral. I didn't go to the funeral because I didn't have a job, and nobody offered to take me to the funeral. Nobody offered any traveling expenses for me to go to any funeral. No, I wasn't gonna go out there and beg nobody to go take care of no burial. If anything, I tried to get that child. I did everything I can to make it possible that her body could have been brought back to this state where her family was, so we could have all had a nice burial for her. But I couldn't do that because the mother was being very disrespectful and everybody was just talking crazy. So I just let y'all do it the way y'all wanted to do it. She wasn't my child to bury anyway. Okay? So let's get that together. You think that I'm supposed to owe you anything? I don't owe you nothing. I did everything I can when you was a child. I try to teach y'all something. I try to pour good things into y'all life or whatever, but y'all seem to want to take the bad things. Y'all want to do what y'all want to do. So I let y'all do it, and I let your parents allow y'all to do it. Because if anybody going to hurt the most, it's going to be them anyway, not me, because you ain't going to come here with all of that and try to dump that on me. I stayed free because I know that I wanted my time to be my time. I didn't choose the life y'all chose or your parents chose when they brought y'all here. But I did my part to keep y'all here, and I did my part to make sure I could bring y'all some kind of way to the Lord. In case things get difficult in your life, you always will have a foundation in Christ. That's it. I did my part. And if whoever your caregivers was or whoever didn't do that for you, then don't come and blame me for it. I stayed faithful to the Lord. If this family, I've been holding everybody together, but I'm not going to be the one for y'all to be coming in trying to dump y'all problems on or try to carry y'all problems for you or be your victim. I'm not going to allow you to do that to me. I'm sorry. I could have done a whole lot of things with my life, but I did put myself on hold. And now I'm trying to get something what I want to get out of life. So before I put myself before God, lay my body to rest, I want to do something to make me happy for a change and stop thinking about everybody else. Damn, could I live? So anyway, I just wanted to just say that because it was just disgusting. It was embarrassing. And I just had to check her. And I told her, if you don't like the way I got to come out here and say what I got to say, then you can remove yourself from my page and don't have to listen to none of this. Because your aunt was going to send you all the way back in that, drive you all the way back to wherever, the one who brought you here was going to send you back on the road when you was on medication and could have been seriously, in an accident. But I came along with you so that I make sure you get there safely. And this is what I get. Y'all better get y'all got a lot of nerve. It's always the ones when you step in the way to help somebody, you see them in a vulnerable situation, you step in to help them. They forget real quick. when they don't know Jesus. When they don't know Jesus, they don't know how to say thank you. They think you owe them something. We saw the ungrateful Ilhan Omar when America took her in, cared for her, nurtured her, gave her a better quality of life and everything. And look what she did, traded us in for some damn Iranians, or being faithful to the people that are in some kind of cult religion. Okay? We ain't, that's the same way I feel. I didn't have to put myself out in harm's way to save your life. And if you don't care about your life, why should I? Yes, send Ilhan and her friends back to where they came from and stop giving the president a hard time. We got to move forward. We got to get this nation to fix the problems that was in this country, and the wickedness of some of these politicians that put this economy in the shape that it's in. That didn't have nothing to do with President Trump. That's what they did. And they still doing, because they need to get out of those seats and allow the ones who can do the job and who will do the right job, the people with the merit to do the work, who really cares about the American people, have those seats. Why are you there? You didn't stand for the American people. So why should you be still sitting there getting a paycheck when there's somebody out there that can do the job and be able and be glad to do the job? And this is what we're fighting about. It ain't got nothing to do with President Trump. President Trump, they blocked everything he tried to do. They gave him a hard time, and that's why we going hard the way we going for President Trump, because we see the truth. We know what the deal. We suffered because of it. We, the American people, suffered. This country wasn't built on immigrants. This country was built on faith. And that's what they need to understand, that we take in refugees. We take in you because we want to see that you have an opportunity just like an American. But when you come here and you start complaining and you start being disrespectful, then it's time to send your behind back to where you came from. Nobody has to tolerate that. People don't understand. There's American people that could have been sitting in that Congress seat. We shouldn't be filling out seats up with people who have not really experienced the real life of an American and who really don't have any grassroots here, because they're going to bring the same problems that they have in their own country here into the United States. And we can't allow that to take root in us, in this nation, because this nation is a loving nation, a giving nation. But we don't give you everything. Some things you're going to have to do it for yourself. And that's being grateful. It's being grateful. If you don't want America, then you can send your way. You could go right where you feel you will be more happier at. And we'd be glad to get you there. And that's the same way I feel about my family. Leave me the heck alone. If you can't see the good things that I've done for this family and you're going to sit around and disrespect me, then you know what? Leave me alone. If I ain't do nothing for you. And sometimes you just got to crack that whip. Come at come at me like that. I will guard your heart, or it will guard your pain. Keep the heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. And that's in Proverbs 4:23. I've seen what happens when women don't protect their heart. I've witnessed how pain turns into jealousy, competition, disrespect, and quiet hatred toward other women, especially when healing never took place. Holiness is still the standard. And we have to say this truth without fear. The way many young women are carrying themselves today is not aligned with Christ. Your body is not public access. Your body is not for attention, and your body is sacred. Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost? And that's in 1 Corinthians 6:19. And it has gotten so casual that even in the house of God, there is no reference in how some present themselves. But God never lowered his standard. That's right. I'm going to live to your standard. We did. A true woman of God, a true woman of God, guards her heart, respects her body, honors other women, and carries herself with dignity and not competition. She doesn't tear down, she builds. She doesn't gossip, she covers. She doesn't expose, she corrects in love. My closing truth, this is not about perfection, this is about transformation. Because when a woman truly finds her identity in Christ, she doesn't move like the world anymore. She doesn't compete with other women, and she doesn't present herself without honor. She becomes set apart. And I did this thing right here because this is the woman supposed to be at the well, and Jesus is supposed to be talking to her. because she was bitter, she was broken, she was torn apart because she allowed her heart to be abused. She allowed her husbands or the boyfriends or whatever the boyfriends that she had to mistreat her to the point where she just didn't know who she was anymore. She became broken. So Christ came to restore her, to repair her heart. He sat to the well and he spoke to her. He said, "You had blah, blah, blah." And then as he was speaking to her, as I did in this graphic, she's listening. Because finally somebody hears her heart. And that's her whole story about the woman at the well. Because sometimes we crying out in pain. Because some people have abused us to the point where we become so bitter, so broken in pieces, so jacked up. So you got to be careful how you extend your heart to people. Because people forget very quickly when they can't have their way to want to try to harm you and say the most harmful things to attack your heart. That's why it says guard and protect it. Not only just your heart, but your mind and also your soul. She didn't break me down because I broke down, but I built back up. Like Jesus said, because some people you just got to put them in the places, you got to put them in check because they try to go too far and they think they know what they're talking about and they don't. They don't know your heart. They don't know what you extended yourself to do for others. And that's okay because Christ, like I said, Christ is what you do it for Christ. You do it for love from your heart. But when somebody totally that didn't do nothing for anybody going to come and try to check you, oh yeah, they gonna feel the fire. Okay, they're gonna feel the fire. I don't care how young they are, they're gonna learn. You stepping out of boundaries because you weren't there, you didn't witness anything. So don't speak on something you really didn't know. You only going because on the fact that you had to ship your behind back to your own mother. And I told my sister before you even got out here that that was going to be a problem for her. But she didn't listen. I was always protecting my sister. Whether it was in a good way you saw it or in a bad way, who cares? It's what God says. And it's what God used me to do. That was on the assignment, not you. So respect your elders. Sometimes it's good to just listen before you go popping off and jumping off with your big mouth. Because you're going to get all jacked up when I start coming out with what I got to say. And you may not be able to handle it. And I can make you run yourself right to your own grave. And that's the same way I feel about how people been acting towards the president. Okay, I'm not going to sit there and harm an innocent man because they don't like him. He may hurt their feelings. They need their feelings hurt. Now they need their feelings hurt because they sometimes don't know how good this country has been to them. And ain't none of them over there prepared enough to lead this nation. They just want to be in power. But they don't care about the lives of the innocent people, the citizens that live here in American people life. They just want to keep their power going by bringing in more immigrants. And we can't afford to keep allowing them to do that. And we're going to continue to stand strong in our faith. And we're going to fight to the finish line. Because we ain't surrendering to their evil God. We're going to stand on the promises of God. And we're going to stand in our righteousness. Because ain't nobody going to continue to reduce the American citizens to a penny. They need to go and fix their own country or fix their own problems in their own country and their own leaders. Don't come over here. Because you ain't got no voice over here. Your voice should be over there in the country where you came from. Well, American people are here suffering with the gas prices and everything. Who did these alliances? Who made these kind of deals with these kind of people? Because if they treating their people bad over there, what you think they're going to feel about us over here? That was the stupidest kind of business deal was done with these Iranians and with anybody else that come from any foreign country that's a third world that treat their citizens in their own country, starving them, famine, hunger, wars, and everything else. You don't do business with people like that because you got to see how they treating their own people first before you want to put your hands in business with them. And now here Trump is trying to fight the wars that they created, the Democrats. And now they trying to come up with every little trick in the book with the law, but God's laws are in heaven. And ain't nobody going to move nothing that God has established and where God puts in authority. So they could keep on trying and knock themselves out and send themselves to a grave or blow their head off. Because that was so stupid for whoever did any kind of business with Iran. Especially people that was calling death to America. We ain't giving you no money. Give us the oil. Boom. You know, don't be playing on our intelligence over here in America. You want to starve your people out, then that's your people. That's your nation to take care of. But you ain't going to do that to Americans. Because we're going to keep blowing them up. It is what it is. Drag them the hell up on out of this country too. Because we don't do business with the wicked. That's wicked. God teaches us not to do business with people like that are evil. They come in your nation, they try to take over. They've been screaming all kind of death threats to your people, and they mistreat their own people, and they got an evil culture, they got an evil kind of God. We don't want to do business with that. They shouldn't have never been in our United States of America, and they should have never been given an opportunity to have a chance to get to the United States of America. But that comes from a greedy person, a person who didn't care about the American citizens, didn't care about the vulnerable people here. They just only cared about power and a bag. And no matter how you try to teach them this stuff, they think God is not a God of war. God is a God of war. It's a season for everything. If you read your Bible, because there's a season for everything and there's a reason for everything. Now, moving forward, that President Trump just installed a statue for Christopher Columbus. Now, I learned about Christopher Columbus on the infant level in elementary school about him he came from Italy, from some place in Italy, and he went to Spain. And he was an explorer. At that time, they said explorer. He was seeing other places of the world. He would travel on his ship, but he knew that the kind of boat he had wouldn't make it to the other side of the world, that he wanted to go and do trade with, a place he wanted to discover. And the water is very spiritual. The water is very spiritual. And everything is for a reason. What God do to people, he pours into your spirit to do certain things. Not everybody can do it because it has to be a calling. So Christopher Columbus went to Spain. He met with the king and the queen and the king and queen in Spain, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. And he asked for their help and their permission to help honor his adventure, to help him with the boats and some crewmen and everything to go travel with him to discover the other side of the world. And they honored that. So they gave him 3 ships. They gave him the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. And this was in 1492. But this was going on way before 1492 because the world was expanding. Because in other parts of the world is covered like 3/4 of water, but then there is land, and there's land of different types of land. You have swamp land, you have safari land, you have all kind of different types of land. You have land that is green land or whatever in the world. So Christopher Columbus, he just took himself on the ocean blue. He was out on the ocean, a big wide ocean. And the ocean runs into the sea, and then the sea runs into the rivers, and the rivers run into, maybe a lake or maybe even a canal, whatever. So the world is covered with water, land, and of course, air. Air, right? So a lot of people don't understand history. So having the statue installed is to put that there for history, American history, because he was a part of American history, and people need to go a little bit more further than where they at on the infant level of Christopher Columbus. I said, no, nothing has ever been perfect but God. God is who's perfect, not us. He's the creator, not the creature. You are his work. He's the potter and you are the clay. We never put ourselves before God, but God calls us all to do certain things at a certain time. He called Moses to free his people from the bondage under the Pharaoh, the Egyptians. And of course, Moses had to kill an Egyptian or a governor or whatever because he was harming one of his people. And if Moses could have probably took another route, or could Moses have controlled his temper and his anger to not kill the man? We don't know. Because sometimes people can catch you off guard and do something and you just snap. So we got to look at it that way. But still in all, thou shalt not kill. So Moses knew that that was God's command. Okay, so he couldn't go into the promised land, but he led the people there. And he had to stay where he was to deal with the consequences of killing that man. But he still did the assignment God called him on to do. So that's why you can't sit around and judge people by certain things you see, because it's not what you see, it's beyond the eye. Is wisdom, and it's God's wisdom. God deals with people on a level that he got to deal with them. Just like he's dealing with this economy right now, dealing with the American people. We being punished because we wasn't listening to God. Whoever was the person who put these people in America, who took that part of making friendship with our enemies, that knew these people wasn't going to do the right thing and make the, fear. They wasn't going to use fairness, because you could see it from where they come from in the countries that they control. The people don't live good there. They got them in class systems where they cannot come out of their class system, and they have to stay under certain kind of cruel rulership. In America, that's why we shouldn't have done any business with them, and that's our punishment. And now people are suffering. But the ones who had no participation in it, God already going to take care of you. He's going to make sure that you not be affected by this. But the ones who did know are the ones who going to feel God's wrath. And it's not good to cover up wickedness, because the wickedness will fall also on you. When God have to deal with somebody, he going to deal with them. Nobody can stop God from doing what God has to do. We seen the truth. We saw what happened at the State of the Union address when President Trump said, those of you who support the American people first, stand up. They didn't stand up, so they know they got to go. They got to go. And it's wearing them out. They doing every trick in the book to remain in their seats, but they have to be removed from those seats, because they allowed this wickedness to go on too long. And they've been doing it too long, and it's time for change. And it's time for those to be the ones for Trump, who want to run, who going to respect his administration and do the things he asked them to do as their boss. That's why I said America needs to stop having election. When we have an election, yes, we get to choose our leaders, but anybody that was on that last administration needs to be removed. They need to be removed, because they did a lousy job. They didn't do their jobs right. And they allowed this wickedness to continue to take place in our nation. And they shouldn't have never allowed that. So I don't think it's fair to Trump that he should inherit these type of people for his administration. He could take the ones that are good, and the ones who haven't been on the job, that have been dishonoring the work in America that they're supposed to do for the American people, need to be removed. And there shouldn't even be no kind of conflict or anything about it, because he gave them all a chance to stand up if they wanted to be there for the American people, and they chose to sit down. So if they chose to sit down, then they chose to lose their jobs. Simple as that. And it's not fair that he should have to deal with all of this, because we got to move this nation ahead. And it's not fair to the American people that tax money, and was abused and misused to support terrorism or any other kind of thing. And God is going to deal with them. God will take the gun and make them blow their head off. Okay? If he want to get to you, he get to you. See, God is not like man, and he's not like flesh. He did it to Hitler. That was a sign right there. Hitler killed all those people in concentration camps and gas chambers, and all the wicked stuff he did. When it came for Hitler to deal with the consequences, instead of dealing with the consequences, he took his head off. Okay? He killed himself. He committed suicide. He ain't shot himself. I don't know how he committed suicide. Just put it that way. See, this is how God can operate on you. God could just strip everything from you. God could just bring you down to nothing. when you know you did something evil and wicked in your heart. And you know you did something wrong. And when it's time to face the consequence, you can run, but you cannot hide because God is everywhere. He shut down the airports and he'll find you. They'll find you. You try to get out of the United States by ship, he'll find you because everything is covered. So the best thing for you to do is surrender. Is to surrender. Because if you don't, you're going to continue to harm yourself. Because you know you're not supposed to sit there if you know you're not there for the right reasons, and you know you're not going to do what the president asks of you to do. And you just there to give him a hard time. God going to give you a hard time because that's who God puts in authority. He wants you out of there. You see how they going crazy? They looking for every little thing in the book. They trying to impeach. Impeach for what? When you didn't impeach President Obama or Biden, any of them for the stuff that they put in their policy and didn't inform the people about. So that right there was deceptive. It was tricky and it was evil. And they should have been the ones who've been impeached. But if you're not going to do it to them, so why are you coming for Trump? Why? Because that shows the evil in your heart. And God going to let you, God going to deal with you. If you're not going to do it to all the other presidents who have wronged the American people, then don't do it to Trump. This lady is breaking down over there talking to Bondi. Bondi reading her all the things on her. And this woman just breaking down and she just can't even handle it. She's going to end up having a nervous breakdown or she's going to end up getting sick and on her sick bed and probably close to death. Because you don't cover up for no wickedness. This is how the system of man, because God is not like you. He's God. And he's going to justify. And he measures it. And he's going to measure it to punish you on the same level that you try to punish somebody else and probably even give you even more. Because we all witnessed it with our own eyes, how they've been abusing that man in power, how they've been abusing him, trying to lie on his name, trying to call him all kind of names and things, whatever, because they just want to have their way of doing the wrong that they've been doing all this time. They had 8 years or more in the administration. Obama was still running the White House when Biden was on his sick bed. When Biden was going through his cognitive dissonance, they knew Biden wasn't going to be able to finish this whole term of his presidency, so they they put Kamala there, but the truth was it was Obama. Obama was still running the White House behind Kamala. That's why he tried to call with that little stupid talk, talking about, oh, we just called to just like say me and Michelle. Michelle ain't want nothing to do with that shit. But he put Michelle in it because he knew that's the way that most of the black women in his service respect Michelle and they liked Michelle. They didn't see Obama. They saw Michelle. Okay? So he used Michelle as his shield, a way to protect people from seeing who he really was. And those of us who work with godly lenses, we see through all the BS. You didn't care about Michelle. You didn't care about them girls. You just cared about yourself having power, and you used her. You used your wife in a very ugly, disgusting way. And got people out here calling her transgender and everything else because of this filthy, nasty lifestyle that you participate in. And God going to deal with him on that. Not only did he hurt the American people, but he hurt his wife and he hurt them 2 girls, his daughters. He only thought about himself, a man like that. Sometimes, people don't, that's why I said you got to know God. Any man that ain't following God, who is he following? He's following himself. He's making himself a God. And God don't like that. And God will deal with Obama when that time comes. And it's going to be painful. You're just giving him enough time to surrender himself and bring his own self to him. But if he don't, if God have to come for you, it's going to be beautiful. Ain't nobody going to stop God to bring you from underneath all the stuff you hiding behind. Because you know you wasn't supposed to do no deal with those kind of people. You wasn't. They've been our enemies for a very long time. Been fighting wars with these people. going in other people's nations and doing the wicked things they've been doing, even to their own people. That just tells you how good they are. These are the kind of people you don't want to have no kind of business alliance or nothing with. And now somebody else got a hand take care of it, and they be in attack. And that's why God is covering the Trump administration, because they know what they're doing. A lot of this stuff was going on, and the Trump administration had to come in and clean it up. All the corruption, foreign and domestic. With that being said, y'all, let me get myself together and get up on out of here and handle my day. I just wanted to just come bring this message to you all, and maybe later on I'll come back and share some more stuff, because somebody might need it. So with that being said, God bless you, love you, and be safe.